Most guys won't get truly shredded and get to the condition they want, not because they're lazy, just because they don't know what to expect and how to set their fat loss phase up. You've tried before, you've got to the point where the scales aren't budging, you think you look skinnier and you think you are losing muscle in the process of your fat loss phase. So what do? You push food back up and continue to go in the bulk again. And that's the hurdle where most guys fail at to get really, really lean. But in order to get to that true condition, you need to get over that, and I'm going to tell you exactly how to do it. In this video, I'm going to cover the 5 things why your fat loss is starting to stall and how to fix it. I've coached over 25 guys now, and most of them had these issues when they first started dieting on their own. The first thing will be fat loss isn't linear, okay? It's going to get progressively harder the leaner you get. At the start point will be the easiest time you'll be in the fat loss phase. You'll have the littlest amount of cardio to do and the highest amount of food to eat. It's a lot more sustainable, you won't feel as hungry, you'll feel like it's a breeze, but it only gets more difficult from there. The leaner you get, the more you will going to have to push, whether that's dropping your calories, increasing your cardio. All of these metrics and things to do with your fat loss process are going to have to get more intense over time. This is what causes guys to stall, because they get to the point where their body fat is staying the same, their scale weight isn't budging, and they don't know what to do. They stick at the same calorie set point, the same amount of cardio, but they don't see any more results. So what do? They go back to old ways, thinking that that's their own fat loss capacity, and as a result, don't get any more shredded compared to really where they would have started. So don't start beating yourself up when the weight starts to stall, when your fat loss doesn't get any easier. This is all part of the process. This is why you don't see everyone and their nan walking around with shredded abs, vascularity. It doesn't come easy, but if you can accept that early on and really push and dig when needed, whether that's doing more cardio, eating lower food, you will succeed. You will get shredded as possible if you stick to it. The second thing will be getting past the bit where you look worse than before. Yes, there will be times where you feel smaller in clothes because you're weighing less. You don't feel as full, you don't have as much energy to push throughout the day. But these are all good signs that the fat loss process is working. Your body is getting into that quote-unquote starvation mode where you're burning more than you're eating and your glycogen stores are getting depleted. This is because the decreased amount of carbohydrates in your diet, which is going to ultimately flatten your muscles and make you look worse than before. Maybe your pumps in the gym aren't as good as before, but that's a given. You have less carbohydrates and energy in your system and have as good of a pump as you did before when you had more carbohydrates in your system. This is all part of the fat loss process, depleting the muscles, getting into that fat burning state, and then the weight off the scales comes after that. Point number 3 would be the scales. Now the scales can be very misleading at times. One week you're up, one week you're down, but you're not taking the most important part into account, which is the visuals. With my one-to-one clients, I get them to take their progress photos once a week. Same position, same lighting, no food or water in their system, so we can have a consistent picture to look at every single week. As much as the scales are a very good metric to tell us that we're on track, it's not the be all and end all of your progress. The most important thing I care about is the visuals. You could ultimately be losing a quarter to a half of a kilo every single week, yet look better than someone who is losing 2 to 3 kilos a week. Remember, the main goal is losing body fat, not the weight off the scales. I see so many people who are so emotionally attached to whatever the scales say in the morning, which then results into what actions they take throughout the day. Whether they weigh less in the morning, so they're on a good track. If they weigh more, they completely cut all their food out, do the most cardio in the world, and then they just burn themselves out and end up running themselves into the ground. The scales can be hard to budge towards the end of your fat loss phase. Your body is adapting to how many calories you're eating a day, what your expenditure is looking like, so don't worry too much about what the scale says and worry more about the visuals. If the visuals aren't changing week on week, then look to push the fat loss phase further. Point number 4 would be the mindset you have going into a fat loss phase. Now, getting shredded and getting lean is hard. The hunger's gonna come there, you're gonna get tired more often, but it's all part of the process. If anything, these are good signs and showing you that your body is in the fat burning process. As you get deeper into your fat loss phase, you'll have every inkling to tell you to fall off. especially the hunger. The hunger is a big one for me, as your body is physically telling you to eat food. But in order to get to the conditions that we haven't got to before, you're going to have to do something different in return for a different result. So pushing past these boundaries are actually going to pay back tenfold in the long run and get you pushing past the stalling factors which you've come across on your own fat loss journey. My biggest tip from a psychological standpoint during a fat loss phase is to plan your time out. Plan your training out, plan your meals out, plan your cardio out. This is going to eliminate the decisions you have to make throughout the day. Therefore, you just have to stick to what's in front of you. Therefore, you don't have to worry, especially timing your meals in a fat loss phase. This is going to eliminate a bit of the hunger and make sure your day is more structured and you're eliminating the decisions that you will have to make throughout the day. My fifth and final point would be that your body is going to adapt. You are going to have to decrease calories at times. You are going to have to do more cardio. You are going to have to make the fat loss process a lot harder than when you started. But overall, this is why people don't get past that stalling point. It's because it gets too hard, they look skinny, they think they're not doing the right things, they think they're losing muscle, but this is all part of the process. The things that separate the people that get really lean compared to the people who fail is the ability to adapt the plan and stay consistent, so they can push past the plateaus and stalling points that they get to in order to get to that next level of body fat. So if you can stay consistent over a period of time and see out the end of the fat loss phase, you will reap the rewards at the end of the fat loss phase. All of the things in this video are the exact systems and tips I use with my one-to-one clients. So if you want to work with myself, click the link in the description to my Instagram, give me a message saying you've watched this video and I'll drop over some more information. But for now, hit the subscribe button, like, comment, share, whatever you have to do, and I'll see you in the next video.